Hello everybody, ActusXD here, and today I wanted to take some time to show you where I think is the best location to level your logging 100 to 200. Let's get straight into the location, so if that's all you want to know, then you can just figure it out and then bail on the video. If you're going to do that, I just ask that you leave a like before you jump out of the tab. Really helps me. Thanks very much. So the best location, I think, you need to be at least level 58, I would suggest, and at least logging level 100 to be able to get Wyrdwood, is at Saptalith in Eden Grove. The closest port is the Blighted Shrine, and then you run around and come down to Saptalith. What we're going to be doing is attacking these dryad wolves, and when we've killed the wolves, we will pet them to get their wood. I think that's nicer than pretending that we're killing them and then chopping their bodies up. These things give heaps more experience than just cutting down a tree, and they're also much more readily available. This place is better than others in the world because the mob density is very high and the respawn rate is crazy. There's 2 or 3 other people here farming right now, and it can easily support us. On the screen now there'll be a comparison about time to log mature, young, and doggo, and it's pretty clear that you can see that the XP per second spent logging is way better with the dryads than it is for the trees, and the other benefit is that you don't have to go looking for Wyrdwood trees all the time. You might have to kill a mob, which you don't have to do ordinarily when you're logging a tree, but the mobs respawn much faster than Wyrdwood. Just a couple of things to note before you run out here. Number one is probably that you need to empty your bags as much as possible. You're going to be getting a heap of Wyrdwood, and you're going to be killing a heap of mobs, and so your bags are going to fill up really quickly. So it makes sense to just get rid of as much stuff as you possibly can. I also found that there wasn't a nearby place that I could set up camp, which was frustrating. One of the zones before Saptalith runs straight into Saptalith, and so there's nowhere that you can set up a camp. So if you think that you might die, that's something to consider, setting it before you run into the place before Saptalith. In the background now, I did 2 6-minute tests back to back. The first one is where I mostly killed single target as much as I could. The second is where I did AoE. Mob killing as much as I could to compare the XP per hour there. The mobs respawn so fast that even sometimes if you're trying to do single target damage, you're going to wind up pulling a couple of them. In terms of these mobs' weaknesses, I know for sure that they're weak to fire, so you'll see that I'm using my fire stuff here, even though my ice gauntlet's better. It does a heap more damage to them, and so basically that's all I do. In terms of melee or physical damage, I'm not sure what they're weak to. Just have a look and figure out what dryads are weak to in that regard, but definitely worth, if you've got your fire staff level, bringing that out to be killing them as quick as you possibly can. If it's your goal to simply get out here and level your logging as fast as you possibly can, one thing I strongly recommend is, number one, buying an orichalcum logging axe. The logging speed with orichalcum tools is a lot faster than with any of the other ones. You'll be able to buy not amazing orichalcum logging axe off the trading post for not a whole heap of gold, so it's worth doing even if you don't already have one. The other thing to note is that you can get the perk on the axe which gives you increased logging experience. Obviously that's not ideal considering the other perks when you are max level, but if you want to come out here and just get as much experience as possible, it's one of the cheaper perks to find on a tool anyway, because it's not as sought after. So I've got about a 9% increased logging experience gain on my orichalcum axe, so you'll see that I'm getting a little bit more experience. As far as I'm aware, that's the only thing that increases your logging experience. All the rest of the perks on the tools, as well as perks on armor and consumables in terms of either food buffs or potions, increase either your yield or your chance to find rare items. Makes sense to still be wearing those because you're out here and logging these things already, so it makes sense to increase your chances of getting rare items or getting more Wyrdwood if that's what you want. So if you want to do some pre-planning and get some of that gear before you come out here. But it's, as far as I know, there's nothing else that you can wear that's going to increase your experience gain to speed up the leveling process any faster. In our sped up test of single target killing for 6 minutes, we killed 17 dryads for a total of 15,215 experience. If we times that by 10, which is 60 minutes or an hour, that equals 152,150 logging experience per hour. This is the AoE test here. As you can see, I obviously struggle a little bit more with my health. I'm taking more damage. But the end result of the AoE test was killing 21 mobs in the 6 minutes for a total of 18,795 experience, times by 10 is 187,950, or rounding up near enough to 190,000 logging experience per hour. I've added a bit longer than 6 minutes here because I had a bit of stuffing around trying to unencumber myself in the killing time. That's the reason that there's a bit more time there. Just to put that into context, the highest logging XP per second from the trees was a young tree at 40 logging XP per second. So if we times that by 60 for a minute and times that by 60 for an hour, if we spent an hour purely just only logging with the axe actually swinging on the one tree and it was constantly giving that same experience, which obviously is never going to be the case, that's still only 144,000 logging experience per hour. So it's pretty clear then from the testing here that this is significantly better. You're never going to be able to log the one tree for an hour, obviously. There's always going to be running time, all that kind of stuff. So I would say this is at least 2, if not 3 or 4 times faster. Just one thing to note before we finish off, one final tip is that the dryad wolves can be a bit finicky if you kill them on even a slight incline, like on a rock or a tree or something. It can either be really difficult or impossible to log them, so wherever you can, try and pull them off the tree onto the flat ground before you kill them, and that way you'll be able to log them more easily. That marks the end of the video. A quick summation is out in Eden Grove, head to Sapdolith and kill the dryad wolves and then pet them for their Wyrdwood. You get 895 experience per kill, or I do at least with my logging experience tool. AoE and then logging them all when you're done is the most efficient way to get through it, especially seeing as they're vulnerable to fire damage. Thank you for watching the video. If you got any value out of this, then I really ask that you do leave a like. It helps me greatly. If you'd like to hear more of my tips and tricks, then feel free to subscribe. And if you've got any other places that you suggest I head out to and try to see if we can beat this logging XP per hour, then leave it in the comment section down below. Thank you very much.